What we are doing with software makers today is we are helping them to architect their applications. Okay. We're helping them to do the things that's not kind of inherent in their business. So let's just say we're in a distillery, right?
Yep.
So
we are in fact in a distillery.
We are in a distillery.
Okay.
So if we're
it's a good hypothetical. I like it.
We'll use this as an example, right?
Hey everybody, I'm Michael Gibson, Marketing Manager at 10th Magnitude, and welcome back to another episode of the Manhattans Project. I am joined today by Jason Rook, our Vice President of Alliances. Jason, thank you very much for coming out and sharing a drink with me. I know you're not always in Chicago, so this is a rare opportunity.
It's fantastic. Thanks for having me.
That is fantastic. All right, so as you can no doubt tell, we are filming in a different location than we usually are. We are actually at Koval Distillery's location here in Chicago on Ravenswood. They've been very generous in providing our drinks for us this evening. They're Hip Manhattan, which, fun fact, I actually found out the recipe is printed on the inside of all of their t-shirts as well. So if you want to find out how to make this, I'm going to include a link to their webpage. You can get all their information there. But it's their Rye Manhattan and their Rose Hip Liqueur, which is stunning. And if you really want to find out how to make it, you buy a t-shirt and you just read the back of it. So what sort of projects are you working on right now? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what your position entails. So Vice President of Alliances isn't really a position that you hear too frequently.
No, it's actually one that we made up for this role.
That's great.
And it's just like everything at 10th Magnitude, we are building this on the fly. And really my role, I do two things at 10th Magnitude. One, I do a lot of sales work. Mm-hmm. So I interface with customers quite a bit and help kind of customers and our engineers kind of articulate solutions to problems. The other component of my role is that I do the alliances component. And so if you think about technology innovation, it's really difficult for one firm to be able to deliver everything that a customer needs, right?
Sure.
The solutions we deliver are incredibly broad and complex, impactful, but complex. And so to do what we do, it takes more than just 10th Magnitude. And so we have a handful of really strategic alliances, partnerships, some might call them channel partnerships, that we engage in. And some of those, if you think about things that we need to do for our customers. So the core of our strategy is really business transformation for customers, mm-hmm. and we do have this underlying platform that we work with, and that's Microsoft Azure.
Sure.
But there are things that we need to do for our customers: storage, WAN optimization, analytics, plugins into the Internet of Things story, those types of things. We can't do all of those. We're not device makers. We're not storage makers, those types of things. And so we have this rich ecosystem of partners that we use to deliver those, to really fill those solution gaps to the customer.
Okay.
The other thing that's important to think about when you think about alliances is alliances give you the ability to scale. Mm-hmm. Right? So we're a very focused, some would call us boutique in some ways, and we're focused on Azure. And we're growing. We've got these engineers that are doing amazing things. But to really scale and meet the needs of all of our customers and also really grow this business, we have to do that through partnerships. And that's the alliances component. Okay. So I've spent a lot of time focused on how do we fill those gaps, and then how do we scale this business through those alliance relationships.
Okay. Are there any particular alliances that we have that are relatively new that we've brought on board specifically to serve that scalability? So for instance, Internet of Things is, from an implementation standpoint, still relatively new. I mean, it's been around for a while. Connected devices have been around. But in terms of scalable Internet of Things on an enterprise level, it's relatively new. Do we have any alliance partners that we're utilizing to help grow that space for our clients? So in the
Internet of Things space, you've kind of got two components. You've got the devices folks. So I know we've had Brian Blanchard, a colleague of mine, talk about Internet of Things.
Yes, he had a hands-on demo, which was fantastic. I think our hands-on demo today is a little bit cooler, but that's just because I've never been like a huge hands-on gadget guy. I've always been more of making a cocktail kind of guy.
I think, I really wanted to one-up Brian Blanchard, and the only way to do it was to be the first Manhattan's project on location somewhere. So, and this is a fantastic video.
And with our new setup as well.
This
So congratulations, you
awesome
won.
Setup. Yes. I don't know how somebody's going to top this, but that's fine. So you got the devices guys in the Internet of Things, and you got the folks that are making those sensors that go into. I know Brian talked a lot about the healthcare space and construction and those types of things. That's an interesting ecosystem. And then you've got the ecosystem of those folks that then distribute those. And there's a whole OEM model around the devices and the sensors. And then what we're starting to see is a handful of people come in and add value on top of that from a software perspective.
Okay.
What we're really doing right now, I think, for the Internet of Things space, is we're sitting back kind of figuring out who all those players are and really kind of working with the ones that our customers bring to us. The interesting thing about Internet of Things that I don't know if Brian touched on is the vast majority of those deals we're working today aren't necessarily a customer calls up and says, hey, we want to buy devices. The customers are way down the path on that idea of we've got something that's going to capture data somewhere.
Okay.
Customers are coming to us and saying, hey, we've got devices and they're capturing data. What do we do with it?
So it's empowering them to analyze that data?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so right now, a lot of our Internet of Things dialogues that we have with customers are, where's your data? Let's aggregate it. Let's do cool stuff with the data, right? So reporting and some of those types of things, which is cool. And then we're starting to do things with Stream Analytics about predictive analysis, right? So you've got all this data and you know that this has happened 5-6 times in a row. Okay, we know when the situation looks like this is going to be what occurs.
Sure.
And that's the analytics component that we're bringing to the Internet of Things conversation with customers today.
We're a Microsoft Gold partner for cloud, and then we're also a Chef certified partner.
Sure.
So what goes into those partnerships? Like, what exactly do those entail outside we implement Microsoft Azure for clients and are empowering scalable and automated infrastructure with Chef? What goes into those alliances?
So those are the two that we kind of highlight on our website. If you think about it, I think about those as the Microsoft side is the platform.
Okay.
Right? It's the platform. And the strategy from 10th Magnitude has always been that 10th Magnitude will grow with Azure. So 5 years ago, Azure was this platform-only story, right? And as Azure grew, infrastructure, right? 10th Magnitude grew an infrastructure practice. Azure grew into this BI, big data analytics platform.
Sure.
We grew an analytics practice. Internet of Things, right?
Yeah.
Event Hub, Service Bus, those types of things. Now we're an IoT partner, right? And so we continue to grow that way. All along, we've been working on things that transform our customers. That's the DevOps story. So those are the two that we really kind of focus on. We'll add more of those. We'll probably do another Manhattan's project at some point about an announcement we're working on, right?
Okay.
We'll add more of those. But for now, those are the two we call out. We have a ton of players that provide storage, right? And when we talk about storage is really broad, right? So we have a handful of storage partners that we work with. We have partners that we work with on networking, right? So express route partners, and we're doing something really cool with a partner right now that we won't talk about around WAN optimization.
Okay.
But those are the types of things that we're continuing to fill our gaps and do new things. We're testing the water. 3 months from now, when we have this conversation again, we will have some type of relationship that we'll talk about around containers. There's no doubt about it. Containers is one of those things that we'll tackle in 2016 that our customers want us to bring to them, and we'll be the expert around containers and within the Azure construct.
That's fantastic, because I know that there's so much happening so rapidly from a containerization and orchestration standpoint in our industry, where that is not necessarily like the next evolution of cloud or cloud strategy or transformation, but it's another utility to empower businesses to continue to grow and accelerate.
Sure.
So I'm really excited to hear more about that as that develops.
Yeah.
So the interesting point that you brought up is talking about not necessarily ISVs, but I mean they're software makers, but sort of like how we relate to that in terms of development and partnerships. Can you expound on that a little bit to give a little more description?
Sure. So first I think you have to think about what a software maker is, right? Because that term is now become very broad because anybody can become a software maker. Right, with the power of the cloud, if you think about, let's use for example, and you can pick any industry, right? Any industry has this problem where you have subject matter expertise that might be verticalized or horizontalized within the industry, but they want to take that and kind of build software around it. So we're in a fantastic distillery tonight, right? So let's use distillers as an example.
Okay.
So let's say you're a distiller and you want to write a piece of software for other distillers. You want to sell this, you want to monetize it, right? 5 years ago, that was a really expensive proposition, right? You had to buy hardware and networking and all these components you had to couple together before you could even start to write the software. Today, with the power of the cloud, that's easy, right? It's a credit card and an account, and you're up and running, you're writing software. But there's a lot more to that. And at the end, those software makers don't want to be experts in networking and VPN and express route and storage and blob storage and cable storage, all these other things that you have to think about, right? They want to be experts in how do I go talk to other distillers about buying my application. And so that's the next trend that we're a part of, is helping software makers do those things that they don't necessarily want, that aren't core to their DNA, right? So we help with networking, we help with blob or table storage, all those components we help with. The other thing that we do is we've done this time and time again for other ISVs / software makers, right? And we understand the go-to-market model, right? So if I am a distiller and I go and I write this application, how do I go to market with that? Do I sell it through a marketplace like the Azure marketplace? Okay. Do I sell it through the Windows marketplace or a mobile marketplace? How do I do those types of things? Do I package it up in some type of a licensing construct and sell it through a distributor? And those are all things that we work with ISVs on all the time, right? Especially in the Microsoft ecosystem, where it can get really complex because there are so many great options and the number of options are expanding. What the ISV brings to the table is intellectual property around a given solution. So for instance, they have the vision of what they want the house to look like, but they don't understand how to use the tools. Okay. And nor do they want to invest to become expert plumbers and expert electricians and that type of thing, but they know what they want to build at the end. And so that's where we help software makers, is we are expert plumbers and electricians and those types of things, right? And we can help them build that end vision. And we do it with all of these cloud components. Okay. And where these guys really want to get to is the concept of continuous delivery, right? If you think about traditional ISVs, they've lived in a world where their delivery model it's a waterfall, right? So it's every 6 months or every year, there's another version. Customer has an issue, customer has a great idea of how to modify the software, and it's another 6 months to a year before they can land that, right?
It's implemented and tested.
Yeah. With continuous delivery, that's a much shorter cycle, right? I mean, we would love to have that hours and days, and most customers can't even fathom the idea of the next rev within the next day. And so with Chef and the DevOps mindset that we bring to the table, that's where we're driving software makers.
Neat. Well, fantastic. Thank you very much for taking time to come and talk to me. I know that your time is always at a premium when you're here in Chicago.
This is fantastic.
So thanks. I appreciate it.
I'm honored to be a part of the first on-location Manhattan's projects. Thank you.
I'm very happy to have you. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we'll have you on again in the future.
Great. Thank you.